Start the quorum for today's meeting. I request you to please start the meeting.
And confirm. I am
Yes,
on
sir.
mute.
No, sir, we can hear you.
Please go ahead, sir.
I confirm that the quorum for the meeting is present at the meeting. On behalf of the bank and the board of directors, I extend to all of you a very warm welcome to this 78th annual general meeting of our bank. Let me welcome the directors of the bank who are also attending through video conferencing as well as in the boardroom. I request them to introduce themselves to the members one by one. To start with, I will start with myself. I am Prakash Chandra. I am the chairman of the bank and also chairman of the audit committee. I am participating in this meeting through video conferencing from my residence at Noida, Delhi.
This is Vimal Bhandari.
Good
I'm a
morning.
member of the board and
Good
I'm joining the
morning,
meeting
everybody.
from my office in Mumbai.
No. Good morning. This is Vishwaveer Ahuja, Managing Director and CEO of the bank. I am participating in this meeting through video conferencing from our corporate office in Mumbai.
Hi, good morning. This is Rajiv Ahuja. I'm Executive Director of the bank. I'm participating in the meeting through video conferencing from our corporate office in Mumbai.
Madam Ranjana, we cannot hear you. Sorry.
Good morning. This is Ranjana Agarwal. I'm attending the AGM from my residence in New Delhi. I'm the chairperson of the NRC committee.
Good morning, this is Ishan Raina. I'm a member of the board and I'm attending this from my residence in Alibag in Maharashtra.
Good morning, this is Veena Mankar. I'm a non-executive, non-independent director of the board and I'm attending the meeting, residence in Mumbai.
So we also Good morning, shareholders. We also have Mr. Manjeev Singh Puri, who has joined us. He's the independent director of the bank. And we also will be joined by Mr. Somnath Ghosh. There is some technical issue he's facing. He's the chair of Stakeholders Relationship Committee. I welcome you to the AGM of the bank. The members may note that the chairman of the audit committee, Mr. Prakash Chandra, chairperson of the nomination and remuneration committee, Madam Ranjana Agarwal, the chairman of stakeholders relationship committee, Dr. Somnath Ghosh, are present at this meeting. I also wish to inform the members that the representatives of the statutory auditors, Messrs. Hari Bhakti and Company LLP Chartered Accountants, the representatives of the proposed joint statutory auditors, Messrs. C&K and Associates LLP Chartered Accountants, and representatives of the secretarial auditor, Messrs. Alvin J and Company, practicing company secretaries, are attending this meeting through video conferencing. In view of the COVID-19 global pandemic, social distancing is a norm to be followed. MCA and SEBI, by their respective circulars, permitted the holding of the AGM through video conferencing and dispensed personal presence of the members at the common venue during the AGM. And this AGM is being held in compliance with the said circulars. In accordance with the MCA and SEBI circulars, the annual report for the financial year ended 2020-2021, along with the notice of the 78th annual general meeting, has been sent on August 26, 2021 only by electronic mode to those members whose email addresses are registered with the bank or the depository participants. The notice of AGM and the annual report for the financial year ended 2020-2021 was also made available on the bank's website, CDSL's website, and also on the website of the stock exchanges, that is BSE Limited and National Stock Exchange of India Limited. With the permission of the members, I take the notice of the AGM as read. Members are requested to note that there are no adverse observations, qualifications in the auditor's report on the financial statements and the secretarial audit report for the financial year ended 31st March 2021. With the permission of the members, I take the statutory auditor's report and secretarial audit report as read. Members may also note that, as per the aforesaid circulars, the inspection documents, including the documents mentioned in the annual report and notice of the AGM, are available with the bank for inspection through the electronic mode during this AGM. The bank considered it prudent to not propose any dividend for the financial year ended 31st March 2021 in light of the situation developing around COVID-19 pandemic in the country and related uncertainty that it creates. The members to note that the bank is in compliance with all the requirements of the Companies Act, SEBI listing, obligations and disclosure requirements, regulations 2015 and amendments thereto. I would like to take you through certain points regarding participation and proceedings of this meeting. All the members who have joined this meeting are by default placed on mute mode by the host to avoid any disturbance by the background noise and ensure smooth conduct of the AGM. During the AGM, if any member faces any technical issue, he may contact the helpline number which we have mentioned in the notice of the AGM. Members are hereby informed that the transcript of this AGM shall also be published on the website of the bank. Now, I request the chairman, Mr. Prakash Chandra, to address the members.
Good morning, dear shareholders. I welcome you all to this 78th annual general meeting of the RBL Bank. I hope that you and your families and dear ones are healthy and safe. The year gone by was different from anything we had seen in the past. It came with its set of learnings and distinct experiences for us individually as well as for the bank as a whole. The role played by essential services in supporting the nation has been phenomenal. At our bank too, our employees have displayed commendable strength and commitment to service our customers in these trying times. In the face of these unprecedented challenges in the past year, we fortified our balance sheet to make it well placed to tackle the impact of the pandemic and handle any short-term disruptions. We took several steps to ensure that the institution remains robust and delivers profitable growth by maintaining prudent risk management, purposeful governance. The progress made by the bank in last year has been satisfactory. The banking landscape was evolving radically, but the pandemic has accentuated the changes, both in terms of speed and scale. Physical and virtual have coalesced into one, and therefore we have been making swift strides to address this changing trend. We significantly increased digitization in operations for a robust infrastructure backbone. We continue to maintain the lead in digital banking innovations for both corporate and retail customers, driven by innovative product offerings and through partnership with fintechs for retail and business customers. We will continue our focus on maintaining a strong capital position, enhance our physical and digital footprint, quality lending with strong risk practices, strategic investments in technology, processes, and people, collaborative partnerships, and cross leverages, thus improving our earning diversity and predictability. We truly value your support and association with our bank. The strength we derive from our stakeholders has been instrumental in our journey, and we continue to count on that. We are confident of coming out of this pandemic stronger together and building a better future. I hereby confirm that the bank has made all arrangements under the circumstances which are feasible to enable the members to participate and vote on the items being considered in this AGM. The facility of joining the AGM through video conferencing is made available to the members on first come, first served basis. The bank has availed the services of Central Depository Services India Limited, that is CDSL, for facilitating voting through electronic means as the authorized e-voting agency for the purposes of the AGM. The attendance of the members through video conferencing shall be counted for the purposes of quorum as per the Companies Act 2013. In the end, I once again wish the shareholders and their families a very good health in the years to come. Please take precautions and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request our MD and CEO, Mr. Vishwavir Ahuja, to address the members.
Dear shareholders, good morning and once again a warm welcome to all of you. I thank you all for joining us today at the 78th Annual General Meeting of the Bank. I join our chairman and all my and hope that you and your loved ones are safe and well in these trying times. I also hope that all of you are either fully vaccinated or on your way towards it, so that together we can emerge out of this pandemic stronger. At our bank, we successfully conducted vaccination drives in various locations across the country, including our subsidiary, RBL Finserv Limited. I'm happy to share that over 80% of our employees have been vaccinated. I would have liked to see all of you in person today. However, none of us could have imagined that we would continue to be impacted by this pandemic even after a year and a half. The crisis has truly tested humanity's resilience and altered the way we live and work. I use this occasion to place on record our immense gratitude and appreciation to all our employees who have shown exemplary courage and commitment at great health risk, for continuing to serve our customers in a seamless manner. Sadly, we lost a few of our dear colleagues to the pandemic, despite our best efforts to assist them with all the critical resources. I wish to offer my deepest condolences and support to the families at the time of need. Moving forward, I do want to share a few comments on India's economic prospects as we look ahead. And I must say that the India story remains strong. India's structural advantages should play a key role in putting our economy back over the medium term on a high growth path. As physical infrastructure driven by government spending picks up, the economy will witness the start of the private capex cycle over the next few quarters. The widespread proliferation of digital tools can also become an accelerator of India's reforms. However, much still depends on the race between the virus and the vaccines. Although vaccine approvals and the rate at which it's being administered have raised hopes of a turnaround in the pandemic later this year, renewed waves and the new variants of the virus pose concerns for the outlook. Now to get to RBL Bank, where, as the chairman said, we use this time to strengthen the institution in every facet. No doubt, FY21 has been a very difficult year. At RBL Bank, we occupied ourselves in building resilience and strengthening the franchise across several fronts. In the last few quarters, we have been repositioning for growth by de-risking the business model through granularization of both sides of the balance sheet, tightening our risk filters, taking accelerated and additional provisioning on COVID-19 impacted portfolios, and significantly improving the quality of new origination, including new product introductions. We have substantially raised our capital buffers, rapidly ramped up our retail deposits and CASA base, enhanced our other income, particularly core fees, and therefore managed to maintain the earnings momentum and net income of the bank. There has been a significant reduction in the cost of funds of the institution, which enables us to enhance our competitiveness and facilitate build-out of new secured loan products going ahead. As you will appreciate, we have also augmented our board strength with strategic appointments of 2 distinguished members. With these new additions, the bank's board now has 11 members, and their collective experience and standing in the financial sector will provide the bank with requisite strategic direction and guidance. I do want to deliberate a little more on our performance. Despite the challenging environment, we continue to stay on track and are cautious, conservative, and committed towards preservation and growth of this valuable franchise. Through a very critical time for the banking and financial services industry, we managed to raise high-quality capital from pedigreed investors. Capital is oxygen for a bank. We have ensured adequate availability of the same to further fortify our balance sheet and to address our future growth needs. We raised 1,566 crores through a preferential allotment from marquee domestic and international investors, which include Barings Asia Equity Private Limited, one of Asia's leading private equity firms, who is now our largest shareholder. The CDC Group PLC, which is our second largest shareholder and our consistent supporter since March 2014. Gaja Capital, our anchor investor from the start of our transformation journey in 2010-11, and a new investor, ICICI Prudential Life Insurance Company. These four marquee investors recently in November 2020, invested in the bank. This was our 9th capital raise since 2011, aggregating over this period 8,600 crores from a very diversified base of high quality shareholders, reflecting their faith in the bank's potential. Our capital adequacy ratio is now at a very healthy 17.5%, and we remain comfortably surplus in terms of our liquidity position. We also saw very strong momentum in our total deposits, which grew to 73,121 crores during this year, up 26% over the previous year. Our CASA growth was even stronger at 36% year on year. Our CASA ratio improved from 29.6% as at the end of the previous year to 31.8% in FY21, and has further increased to 33.7% by June 30th, 2021. We hope to continue to deliver further improvements in this in the months and quarters to come. Our net interest income was up 4% in the year at 3,788 crores, with net interest margin, what we call NIM, at 4.48%. Our other income grew 8% to 2,058 crores. Similarly, our core fee income, despite the lockdown in the country during the first half of the fiscal year, was higher at 1,757 crores, rupees 1,757 crores for the year. Our pre-provisioning operating profit was strong and reflected a satisfactory growth of 14% to 3,091 crores. After taking necessary provisions and additional provisions, mostly COVID related, profit after tax was rupees 508 crores for the year. Our advances grew to 58,623 crores. Retail advances grew faster year on year between the retail and the wholesale advances. The mix between the two was retail is now 59% of our portfolio and wholesale is just above 40%. At this juncture, it is important to pause and reflect on our journey between 2010-11, when we set out on this campaign, and FY21. Our bank has experienced, as you all know, quantum growth and evolution during this period, both quantitatively and qualitatively, and has developed consistently in an ever-challenging and difficult economic environment. The business base of the bank has grown manifold. The deposits of the bank have grown over 46 times in this period. The advances have grown more than 50 times. The net worth of the bank has grown 35 times, from 350 crores to over 12,500 crores now in 2021. The net profit of the bank has also steadily grown from a meager 12 crores in FY 10-11 to 508 crores in FY 2021 after absorbing the COVID impact. The customer base of the bank has grown from just about 2.5 lakh customers in FY 10-11 to approximately 1 crore customers today. And very importantly, our employee strength has grown from about 700 then to over 17,000 currently, including our subsidiary RBL Finserv Limited. This, I think we can all say, has been a great transformation journey. Having said that, this is also a time to reset for Transformation 2.0. The measures we took in FY21 have stood us in good stead entering FY22. However, it is important to note that just as the environment was returning to near normalcy in March 21, we faced the impact of the second wave, which was more severe than the first, especially impacting our small retail borrowers, which included our salaried customers, small business, and our rural customers, where in fact the impact was the highest. All of which were just coming out of the effects of the first wave with some difficulties. For our bank, these businesses have been our core focus. Therefore, despite the planned counter-cyclicality and all the prudential measures taken by the bank, the impact we faced was disproportionately higher. We now feel that economic activity and growth revival is now visible, with vaccination drive picking up and there is better preparedness on the health infrastructure front. This augurs well for normalcy to return gradually. We have therefore reset our business approach, capital allocation and capabilities. Our transformation journey 2.0 focuses on those areas which we consider right to win. In other words, where we have a reasonable position in terms of scale, in terms of capabilities, in terms of incorporating business learnings across markets, ups and downs, and therefore an ability to deliver above cost of capital return over market cycles. The franchises and the associate capabilities that meet these tests are credit cards. We are building a very strong credit cards franchise at the bank, which despite adversities has remained profitable even in FY21. As this was one of the significantly impacted segments, but despite that, it has remained profitable. We are undertaking a significant ramp up of our investment in technology, app design, risk, information security, and service architecture in credit cards over the next 18 months. This will make us more competitive, not just against the largest players, but also vis-a-vis the fintechs that are redefining customer experience significantly. We now have a better understanding of how different segments performed through extreme stress, and hence these learnings are now built into our risk models, guiding our future portfolio build-up. We are already now the 5th largest card player in the industry, with a card base of over 3 million cards. I'm happy to share that we have also launched our credit cards recently on the Visa platform. Previously, we were only on the MasterCard platform. And the entire integration was managed in a record time of just around 8 weeks. We had started the discussion on adding another network partner several months earlier. So when the RBI ban on MasterCard happened, we were better prepared than most others to integrate quickly with a new platform. I congratulate my team members for this effort. Our approach over the next 2-3 years would be to continue to focus on partnerships with multiple other relevant and well-known brands and platforms. And you will hear a lot more of this in the coming weeks. To expand our reach and accessibility, we will integrate the cards business with other parts of our banking franchise in terms of cross-sell of savings accounts, insurance, and other retail loans and products. The next is microbanking, which we are now saying transformation to Bharat banking. In microbanking, we have been able to evolve processes, enabling us to seamlessly manage branch operations and customer engagement across 1,200 districts. Our onboarding and other branch operations have now been completely digitized. Our focus, therefore, now is to expand into other areas of secured loans, such as two-wheeler, home extension, loan against gold, etc. So we want to use this franchise and network and distribution that we have built and digitized to now move away from a single product to expand into other secured loan products, in this space. This will also help us deepen relationships with existing customer households and offer a range of products. And our strategy also is to increase our distribution more via our subsidiary RBL FinServe to reach 70 to 75% of the districts in Tier 4 and Tier 5 geographies of the country. The third engine is to look at other new secured areas for growth. We are diversifying across secured businesses and reducing concentration risks. This is being achieved by leveraging our domain expertise in some of our leading businesses and expanding to new interconnected businesses such as affordable housing, tractor finance, secured MSME loans, home improvements, and two-wheeler loans. In our housing business, we already have 66 branches and plan to add another 50 branches in this fiscal year FY22 and 120 branches over the next 2 years. In rural markets, we are beginning to build a tractor finance book. We will see greater traction in the coming years in this space. Fourth, our physical infrastructure. The retail business adds critical granularity to the liability franchise. And our branch banking network helps accelerate that and also adds to the bank's customer base. The branch banking business, as we call it, already does a significant cross-sell of financial products. We expect this scale and product penetration to increase significantly. Our retail and small business deposits, today are approximately 40%, which we want to take to above 50% within the next 18 months or so. We intend to add 75 to 80 branches each year, primarily in the metro urban locations, to add to our branding, customer acquisition, and servicing. I want to add here that for our non-metro urban centers, our distribution is through our 100% subsidiary, largely RBL FinServe. And as we have already reported, that itself has approximately 1,400, either banking outlets or BC points. The fifth is what we are calling internally right now as Project Abacus. This is our internal neobank solution that we have been creating on a silent mode, if I may say, for the last 3 years or so. Our objective in doing so was to figure out how we could increase our customer base in Tier 1 cities in India, mainly our cards and branch banking segments, without having to disproportionately invest in high upfront fixed costs. We are now prepared to take the leap and up the investment and exposure significantly in this platform. In 3 to 4 years, we plan to achieve exponential growth in total customer base, targeting to increase and expand this to 12 to 14 million customers from the current 3 to 4 million customers, who will engage with us for a variety of products and services spanning deposits, cards, loans, payments, demat, insurance, investments, etc. Sixth is our wholesale business. We are strengthening the wholesale banking franchise and enhancing our capabilities to work closely with corporate clients. We continue to add better quality names and keep our portfolio granular. This is something we achieved significantly over the last couple of years, and today the quality of that portfolio is of a very high level. In terms of our other opportunities, while overall corporate demand has been muted, we have been making inroads through digital solutions, foreign exchange, trade and cash management, and of course deposits also. Seventh, to build a robust technology backbone and infrastructure. Our approach of classical banking model, backed by strong digital frameworks, has helped us create scale even in a tough period of time. In many of our applications, we have seen growth rates of above 50% during the last financial year. When I say applications, I mean digital applications. All of this has been feasible because of our new technological solutions have helped us offer agile, reliable, and superior solutions to enhance the customer experience and provide scale. As an example, we migrated more than 60 mission-critical applications to the cloud, including retail assets, branch and business banking operations, human resources, and customer-facing websites that allowed us to offer 24/7 services to our customers during the pandemic. Next, to continue to have a strong focus on risk and governance. Transaction practices, governance, and credit quality monitoring mechanisms have gained increased impetus. The government and the regulators have tightened credit practices and reporting of delinquencies to create a better future for lending. Our bank has continuously invested in new technologies, processes, and skilled talent that has given us the ability to manage a challenging year and has created a foundation for a robust future to tackle greater complexities and opportunities. Finally, a modern institution is as good as how it embeds with a variety of stakeholders and fulfills the broader mission of a socially anchored franchise. We call this moving towards responsible banking. A key learning of the past decade has been that of inclusivity. We have taken it further at RBL Bank through a wide gamut of products and services, including responsible financing, reducing our environmental footprint by promoting digital banking platforms, and conserving energy. Environmental and social (ENS) risk assessment is an integral part of the bank's overall risk management framework. In response to the growing impact of the pandemic, in July 2020, we supported relief efforts by placing orders for 70,000 masks with an NGO as our endeavor to increase awareness and protection against COVID-19 virus. In September 2020, we donated mobile medical vans in Maharashtra equipped with doctors, support staff, medicines, and protective kits. In December 2020, we successfully raised over 5 crores through the bank's, RBL Bank's Umeed 1000 cyclothon in support of girl-child education. This has been our forte for several years, and this year our performance was phenomenal, as has been in previous years too. All of this happened while the pandemic was still on. Our care and commitment towards communities has been recognized by Asia Money by delivering to us the Best Bank Award 2021, where we won this award for India's Best Bank for CSR in March 2021. So in conclusion, I think the message I want to give that we are definitely here for the long haul. As I look into the future, eventually the world will conquer the virus, but all of us will need to maintain a continued vigilant stance. The pandemic has changed the world in many ways. Customers of financial services will use bank services not just through its branch and the various digital channels, but also through the partner ecosystem. What is needed, therefore, is to look at the opportunity through different lenses. We have improved the resilience and strength of the bank over the last year and a half. And now with the overall economic environment returning to normalcy, we expect to return to our pre-COVID momentum. Earnings trajectory and return ratios over the later part of this year itself, leading to sustaining the same over the next year and beyond. Our culture of agility, capabilities, the emotions of connectedness and empathy, as well as the courage of experiment, makes us who we are at RBL Bank. We are leveraging our partnerships with startups, fintechs, and even established players to offer our services through these partners. We are building a team that is empowered, curious, and ready to meet the evolving requirements with speed. To conclude, I would like to extend gratitude to all our shareholders for believing in our vision and us. With you as an integral part of our journey, we will continue to rise and grow stronger together, as we call it this year, Apno Ka Saath. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we start with the question answer session. 10 members have registered themselves as speakers. The names of the members who have registered themselves as speakers shall be announced one by the moderator. The speaker would thereafter be unmuted by the host. To start speaking, the speaker is requested to click video on button. If the speaker is not able to join through video for any reason, the speaker can speak through the audio mode also. If there is a connectivity problem at the speaker's end, the next speaker would be asked to join. Once the connectivity improves, the speaker will be called again to speak once the other registered speaker have completed their turn. I would request the speakers to be brief and not to repeat the questions and points made by the earlier speakers. May I also request, for the benefit of time and for ensuring participation by all speakers, that each speaker is requested to limit his or her questions to maximum of 3 minutes. Now I invite questions from members who have registered themselves as speaker one by one. I request the moderator to please start.
Our first speaker is Mr. Appasaheb Masode.
Hello sir, good afternoon. I am Mr. Appasaheb Masode from Sangli.
Yes, sir. Namaskar, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar sir, namaskar. Under the dynamic leadership of Mr. Asu Ahuja Sahib and Board of Directors, the bank has done a lot of development. Whatever figures given by the various eminent personalities during the last half an hour, that is as per the parameters of the bank, those figures are above the benchmark of the banking system. There is no doubt that the bank is developing in the proper direction. Your achievement is great. We have great faith upon your dynamic leadership, because whatever word you have given during the past period, that the share will be quoted up to the more than 700 that have been achieved before 3 years back. Due to the pandemic condition and adverse condition to the banking system, there is some setback to the profit ratio, but this is not the first time. During the past period of the banking history, number of times bank has not paid the dividend. But we have great pleasure that your development is in the proper direction, and we have great faith upon your leadership, because under your leadership, again the glorious days will come back towards the bank. You may have good vision. According to your vision, within coming years, the bank again in the share market achieve the target, whatever given. Once it will be pass more than 1,000 rupees also. That is expectation from the shareholders. I suppose that your vision, your leadership, whatever steps you are going to take, that will be beneficiary to the bank and shareholders. The staff has also contributed a lot in the pandemic condition. The staff members' contribution is also great one in the development of this bank. You have developed the bank from the 3,000 crores to the more than 74,000 crores rupees. That is great achievement. And in the future, we have great expectation from you. Please clear what type of vision you have that we will receive the same glorious days in the share market for our price of the share in the future. Thank you, sir. I want some sort of clarification about your next development and next vision about the bank's development.
Sir,
Hello,
thank
sir.
you for those remarks. As within the next few weeks, we intend to once again, as the last part of this COVID impact, is taken care of, I think we will be in a position to give all our stakeholders a very clear vision statement for the coming years, as we did previously. As you know, the uncertainties of the last 18 months made things very unpredictable. But I think it is important for all of us here who are running this bank to be able to give a clear path, roadmap with reasonable degree of predictability to all our stakeholders. And we hope to be able to do that very shortly. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Arun Bopanna. Mr. Arun?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, please
Hello.
switch on your video.
Hello.
Yes, sir, please, you can speak.
Please. Is the video clear?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, yes, it's clear, sir.
I'm in attendance at this AGM through VC. Thanks to Roti Bank, it has made you very popular for the kind of work you've done. And compliments to the manager for healthy capital adequacy ratio at 17.5%, remain surplus with liquidity. For performing through extreme pandemic stress, with being together for seamless services, ramping up investments in digital technology for long haul of transformational journey. And my questions: what are the Indian structural advantage for high growth path for RBL? So how many COVID vehicles do we have in RBL, and how did we take care of these families? What is the cost? The vaccine audit, you said only 70% is done. When will the balance 30% of staff be vaccinated? And what is the success rate of vaccination? Any casualties during vaccination? Do we use any solar panels, reduce emissions in line with the International Emission Control Act done at Paris? And RBL commitment towards inclusive growth, what are your plans? Projected value creation in the long term for all our stakeholders. What is the highest share price of RBL in his lifetime? And what was the lowest when? World is richer now, but heavily in debt. I don't know why. What do you think is the cause? Lastly, eventually world will conquer the virus with race between virus and the vaccines. In conclusion, I wish RBL to succeed. I wish the world to be richer and its people to live free of debt, and RBL to increase shareholder value year on year, with customer as goal, with simpler processes, with more branches in rural areas too. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah. So just I'll pick up one or two points from what you said. On page 107 of the annual report, some of the questions that you have on vaccination, etc., are all been highlighted. So if I may direct you to that, and several of your other questions are also addressed, but we have noted some of your other comments with appreciation. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Suresh Choukale.
Hello,
Mr. Suresh?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah,
Hello.
please switch on your video.
Namaste, sir. मैं सुरेश चौगले from Sangli.
Namaste, namaste, sir.
सर कोविड काल में हेलो कोविड काल में लॉकडाउन कोविड काल में लॉकडाउन होते हुए भी जो बैंक ने जो हर क्षेत्र में अच्छा काम किया है ना, ये प्रशंसनीय है। सर मुझे आपसे ये पूछना है, बैंक का टोटल लोन का पोर्टफोलियो कितना है और उसको बढ़ाने के लिए बैंक ने क्या कदम उठाए हैं? और मेरा ये सुझाव है कि रिटेल लोन बढ़ाना चाहिए, जैसे कि होम लोन, टू व्हीलर, फोर व्हीलर, स्मॉल एंटरप्राइजेस लोन, गोल्ड लोन, ऐसे लोन बढ़ाने चाहिए। अन्य बैंकिंग के इंटरेस्ट रेट के कंपैरिजन में अपने बैंक को ऐसा रिटेल लोन देना चाहिए। थैंक यू, धन्यवाद सर।
चौगले जी, मैं आपका क्वेश्चन का जवाब अभी देना चाहता हूं। आप जो बोल रहे हैं बिल्कुल पते की बात बोल रहे हैं, और यही हमारा यहाँ पे बैंक में इसी डायरेक्शन में हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं पिछले 1-1.5 साल से। आप मानेंगे कि ये जो जितनी रिटेल लोन सेगमेंट जो आपने बोली हैं, होम लोन्स, ट्रैक्टर लोन्स, गोल्ड लोन्स वगैरह, ये सब हेवीली कंपेटिटिव प्रोडक्ट्स हैं। इसकी मतलब इतने सारे बैंक्स करते हैं और बहुत लो इंटरेस्ट रेट पे करते हैं, तो ये सारे प्रोडक्ट्स बहुत कंपेटिटिव रेट्स पे होते हैं। इसके लिए बहुत जरूरी था हमारे बैंक के लिए, जो और बड़े बैंक से छोटा है, थोड़ा हम मतलब मार्केट में थोड़ा देर से आए और इसको डेवलप करने में तो उसके लिए जो डिपॉजिट बेस है वो बढ़ाना जरूरी है और सस्ता डिपॉजिट चाहिए। तो शुरू में हमारा कॉस्ट ऑफ फंड ज्यादा था। आप देखेंगे पिछले 1.5-2 साल से बिल्कुल बड़ी तेजी से वो नीचे आ रहा है। एक्चुअली हमारा कॉस्ट ऑफ फंड्स इस वक्त पिछले जब से जर्नी स्टार्ट हुई है तब से लोएस्ट पॉइंट पे है आज, और 2 साल पहले हमारा कॉस्ट ऑफ फंड्स 7% के आसपास था, आज 5% के आसपास आ गया है। और ये आशा है कि अगले 3-4 महीने में फोर्थ क्वार्टर तक इसको 5% से भी हम नीचे लाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। इसके होने से ये जितने प्रोडक्ट्स आपने बोले हैं रिटेल प्रोडक्ट्स, इन सब में हम आप जुड़ सकते हैं ये, और उसमें कमाई भी कर सकते हैं। हमको पॉजिटिव मार्जिन मिलेगा कॉस्ट ऑफ फंड्स के कम होने से। तभी मैंने अपनी स्पीच में बोला कि अब अपनी कॉस्ट कंपेटिटिवनेस इंप्रूव हो गई है। इसकी वजह से हम बहुत सारे न्यू सिक्योर्ड लोन प्रोडक्ट्स अब करने की क्षमता हमारे में आ गई है। तो आप देखेंगे होम लोन्स में हमने ऑलरेडी ब्रांचेस लगाने शुरू कर दिए हैं और एक पोर्टफोलियो लग भी चुका है और ये बढ़ता ही जाएगा। और जो सेगमेंट्स आपने बोली है वो भी तेज रफ्तार से अब होने वाला है। तो मैं आपका जवाब पॉजिटिव में दे रहा हूं कि जो आपने बोला बिल्कुल ठीक है। आज की तारीख में हमारा ये जो लोन टोटल जो मैंने अपनी स्पीच में बोला 58,000 के आसपास, और वो अभी तो कोविड की वजह से थोड़ा उसको हमने होल्ड करके रखा है, बट ये सेकेंड हाफ ऑफ द ईयर में इसको फिर से ग्रोथ पाथ पे लाने का हमारा लक्ष्य है। थैंक यू।
Yeah. Our next speaker is Mr. Viraj Mehta. Mr. Viraj?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, please switch on your video.
Yes, Mr. Mehta.
Yeah, at the outset, I would like to congratulate the team for good performance on CASA and deposit front. However, in the last few years, our one-year forward multiple has declined from 3x to 1x, leading to shareholder value destruction. I would like to flag up that in FY21, our asset quality performance, gross PA plus technical return off has been deplorable compared to the peers. We do not deny the COVID challenge, but our performance versus peers is really poor. So, so my question is, can you please walk us through how we have fared in terms of asset quality versus our industry peers in segments like credit card, MFI, and retail. And I would also like to understand what changes have you made with respect to credit filters. And that's it.
Thank you for those comments and questions. Actually, as I mentioned in my speech, it's all a question of the business model and focus that each institution has had. I think the peer comparison in our case, what you are probably looking at is different from the way perhaps we should look at things. In our card segment, if you see, our performance benchmarks compare as well or favorably compared to the other card players. These are detailed published information that is available, and periodically it is updated. There are bureaus and others who also throw out data, and in every quarterly announcement and our commentary, we are highlighting the details. If you would go back to just the previous quarter's commentary and you look at our deck that we put out in public domain, it has very detailed data on all these competitive benchmarks and characteristics of performance. So, therefore, on the contrary, I would maintain that in the card space, to your question, we have performed as well and in some cases better than our, other, if I may say, comparable group. Our market share has also remained intact through this period. Some players have lost market share, and you should also understand that we are a new emerging player in this segment. The top 4 players in the card industry for the last 15-20 years have not changed. They are the same people. There were other players at number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 position. You have to appreciate that in this short period of time, we have entered this segment, we have established a market leading position, reached number 5. Obviously, we must have done a good job as far as that is concerned. And as I mentioned, despite the COVID impact, we remain profitable. In micro banking, once again, I think if you look at comparable data, the fact of the matter is that micro banking is limited to a few small finance banks, and as far as the mainstream commercial banks are concerned, there are only 1 or 2 others. And other than that, there are the non-banking, micro-banking companies which are in this business. So I think you need to look at comparable data from this set of players. And again, I must say that our performance has been, not worse than most of them. It is possible that perhaps 1 or 2 out of the 15, 20 may have performed marginally better. And that is largely depending on the states to which they lend. As you know, this sector has been impacted by many factors, even before COVID. COVID is the last, if I may say, big issue that has affected this space, largely because of the disproportionate impact of the second wave, particularly in the rural parts of the country. But even prior to that, there were so many event risks that were there, in terms of natural calamities in certain states, certain political factors in certain states, which you, I'm sure, are aware of and read about, and so on and so forth. And if you have a slightly higher exposure in these states, then your impact will be relatively higher. So what we have done in this space particularly, in the last 12 to 18 months, we have reduced concentrations on states significantly. We have diversified across states. We've reduced the concentration per state, and we have constantly revisited the filters, to therefore mitigate the risks in that portfolio. And as a result, again, I repeat very strongly that on comparable basis, we have come out quite well. Structurally also, I don't want to take up everybody's time today, but structurally also, the way we do business with our partners, where with our with our other BC partners, we have structures like first loss guarantee, FLDGs, etc. Further mitigate the credit costs of this business on our bank. So the truth is a little different, and that is one part. However, we cannot take away from the fact that as a bank of our size, scale, and vintage, we obviously can't compete with the players who have been far more established, which have far more competitiveness and cost of funds, etc. So we have necessarily had to focus on segments which gave us a growth opportunity and which gave us an opportunity to generate positive returns, which has held out very well for the last so-called 9 years up until FY19. And if anything, for the most part, it is because of the nature of our portfolio that the impact of the COVID has been somewhat more severe. Having said that, as I mentioned very clearly in my speech today and in my previous announcements at the quarterly meetings, we have completely retrofitted the organization. I mean, this has been a busy period for us in terms of taking various learnings and putting all the new, if I may say, paradigm in place, making the bank, much more future ready, much more resilient, and giving it the ability to grow across a much more diverse, segment of products and services, and also grow in an environment where the risk paradigm may have changed completely, taking into account the digital future of the economy, etc., etc. So all those steps have been taken, they have been highlighted. I request you to go through our annual report. I think it's a well put together, very detailed, very comprehensive document, and many people have already written to us, and communicated us saying that, the presentation in the annual report is of high quality, high caliber, high on transparency, disclosure, etc. And I think it shall provide many of your answers, but we can always connect separately.
Our next speaker is Kundan Singh. Kundan Singh has not joined, so our next speaker is Mr. Yusuf Rangwala. Mr. Yusuf? Mr. Yusuf?
Good morning. I'm speaking from Mumbai, sir. I'm speaking from Mumbai, sir. Sir, it is dream come true. Sir, I will speak. Can you hear my voice? Hello? Hello, can you hear my voice, sir?
Hello?
Hello, can I speak? Hello, I'm speaking from Mumbai. My name is Yusuf Rangwala. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm very happy with our bank, RBI Bank, which is one of the oldest banks, sir. This is a 78 years. You cannot hear my voice, sir, proper now? Now, sir, you can hear my voice?
Sir,
No, we can.
Hello?
We can.
This is a Yes, sir, I'm proceeding,
Sir,
sir.
go ahead.
Sir, this is a 70-year-old bank. Sir, I'm speaking from Mumbai. Sir, I'm very happy with our chairman's speech about all the results. Sir, when was this 75th, 78th, sir, 75th year, sir, when was over 3 years back? Sir, left, sir. So it's possible, but month of January, February, you please call us the shareholder at your office and say we want the celebration from you, sir, because the 75th, it was about 3 years back. Sir, as you promised, sir, you will celebrate, sir. But your celebration is not there, sir. Nothing more to add. Sir, COVID-19, anyone affected in a bank, sir, total number of ATMs are at present. Sir, foreign में आपका कितना ब्रांच है, सर? कनाडा, अफ्रीका, यूएसए में आपका कितना ब्रांच है? ऑल ओवर इंडिया में, सर, वो मैं जानना चाहता हूँ. और तो मुझे कुछ नहीं पूछना है, सर. अपना सेक्रेटरी डिपार्टमेंट बोर्ड अच्छा है, उनको सर मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ. नथिंग मोर टू, सर. थैंक यू वेरी मच. May God bless our company in all. I am supporting all the results, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
COVID खत्म होता है. Yusuf ji, COVID, as soon as COVID effect is a little, if I may say, if we are safer from this COVID situation, I think obviously we are also very keen and eager to start physical interactions, and ideally, we would have all loved to have this AGM also, in physical format. But I think it is unfortunate that the last 2 years has coincided with our post 75 years situation. And, schools are closed, colleges are closed, life has been what it has been. And everybody is eager to get back to normal life. So as soon as normalcy is there, we will definitely arrange a proper interaction with shareholders as you have requested. And to your quick question on global footprint, we are a purely domestic bank. We have no global footprint of branches. Except one, we have our offshore center in Gift City in Ahmedabad, and that is our so-called offshore center, as we call it, which allows us to do, cross-border transactions. But that is under the rules and regulations of the country.
Our next speaker is Prakashini Shinoy.
Hello? Hello? Hello, can you hear me,
please
sir?
switch on your video.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Respected Honorable Chairman, Sri Prakash Chandra ji, other dignitaries on the board, and my fellow shareholders, good afternoon to all of you. I received the annual report through email, which is colorful, informative, and contains all the information as per the corporate governance. I thank the company secretary and her team for the same. Sir, we are living in a days where everything is unpredictable life, including our existence. In such a circumstances, running a bank like ours is a great thing. I appreciate Chairman, sir. The board member has given a beautiful picture regarding the bank, its working, its future. It was really an excellent information which he has given. Sir, I have a few questions. My first question is, after demonetization, this global pandemic, coronavirus, has future added focus on digital payments. I wanted to know, what are we doing in this front? Number two, how beneficial is our bank's digital platform in the current times? Is our bank educating customers on do's and don'ts? Please let me know. I wish the bank good luck for a bright future and pray God that the profit of the bank shall reach the peak in due course. Sir, I support all the resolutions put forth in today's meeting. Thank you, sir.
I'll ask my colleague, Mr. Rajiv, Executive Director, to specifically address your question on digital operations of the bank.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to share that technology, digital has been a focus of the bank from the get-go. And over the last 2-3 years, as the country has become a lot more digitally oriented, the government has promoted electronic payments, especially as a means to reduce the inconvenience customers are caused, as well as promote inclusion. We have played a very, very major role. For our small size, we do a lot of payments, not just for urban and metro India, but also for rural India. And there we work with a variety of partners and have offered some strong back-end infrastructure in terms of payments. Especially at the time of COVID, when many of us were working from home, we ensured that our technology allowed us, our customers, to operate 24/7 on a very, very large scale. And I think this has been possible because of the early investments we have made. And I can assure the members that technology, digital, safety and cyber security are going to be very critical for the bank's future. We are a mid-sized bank. We don't have a long, brand history. We don't have the same level of footprint. We have to leverage technology and digital, which is how India is working. And our bank is pretty much focused on this. And hopefully you will learn a lot more. In his speech, both the chairman and the MD CEO talked about digital technology. We referred to some of the initiatives we've taken on payments, Project Abacus, which is our way of turning into a neobank. All of these investments have been made. And I think over the next 6-12 months, you will hear a lot more about this, and hopefully all of you will be more proud of the achievements of RBL Bank especially in these areas. I want to finish the comment on technology and digital with one very important thing. All the technology digital will not help if we do not have a service and empathy in our dealings, in the way we work with our customers and within the employees. So in our bank, we always talk about a big tech and a big heart. Both have to go together. That's the only way we will remain socially relevant for customers as well as for the society at large. Thank you.
Very good.
Our next speaker is Tamal Majumdar. Tamal?
1 minute, yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Chandra, MD and CEO, Mr. Ahuja, Mr. Rajiv Ahuja, and other directors of the bank. Myself, Tamal Kumar Majumdar, an equity shareholder from Kolkata. Sir, I firstly want to share my anguish as regards your company secretary's view is concerned. Only 10 shares are attending the meeting. So if you allot 3 minutes and another one shareholder is not attending, if you are, so you want to complete a 400 pages report within 27 minutes. When your counterparts if you notice in Tata's Mahindra, they used to be in the meeting for 4 hours. Minimum 4 hours, Chandra used to be in the meeting. You have shown your respect to the shareholders. You have shown your respect to the shareholders. You are replying all the points. So in this scenario, it looks very odd. Why don't you allow shareholders to talk from their heart, share their thoughts in this regard? Because one shareholder who did his homework, reading all the pages, he should be allowed to share it. Not half an hour, not 15 minutes, at least 5-10 minutes. No? It should be allowed. So this gives a wrong signal. For one day, the chairman, the entire board is wanting to hear shareholders for only 30 minutes. I think it will not happen. And the new trend came. If they are not happy with your question, they will disconnect your line, saying it's a technical fault. The new trend. So I think this will not happen in this regard. I am not going to take much more time, but I have gone through and I am going to share my thoughts. Sir, the bank's result is really commendable, despite in the COVID scenario. But due to second wave of COVID and further provision of 604 crores for COVID-related issues, huge loss of 947 crores booked by retail banking segment in the first quarter of 2022. In Q1 of financial year 22, the bank booked a loss of the tax of 459 crores in the Q1 of financial year 22. Would you please share with us your expectation from the remaining part of the year? Sir, and do you believe that total provision of COVID-related issues amounting to 604 crores will be enough to deal with the matter during financial year 22? Or any further provision will be required? Sir, I have noted that during financial year 21, net interest margin decreased to 4.48% from 4.56% in financial year 20. Taking into account the current scenario, do you believe the bank will be able to increase it further, or at least keep the NIM margin at 4.4% at least during the remaining part of the year? Sir, as per your segment result, retail banking incurring losses in Q4 of financial year 21 as well as Q1 of financial year 22. What is your thinking in this regard? When do you believe that it will again become a profit center for the bank? And sir, it is nice to note that CASA deposits increased by 36% to a whopping 23,264 crores during financial year 21. Actually, a high percentage of CASA deposit helps the bank to decrease its total cost and also helps it to offer schemes with attractive interest rates. But taking into account RBI current account rules to be effective from 1/11/2021, Do you believe that it will decrease as well as total amount as well as the number of accounts as related to current accounts? Because new policy is coming with effect from 1st November 2021 as regards current deposit is concerned. Sir, bank mentioned in the report that they will focus more on granular and retail deposit in the coming years. You also mentioned in your speech. But what I noted, the 20 largest depositors contributed 11,209 crores or 15.33% of our total deposit during financial year 21. So there are several models are working now. DCB Bank is following. They are not depending on high value deposits. They are depending not on CASA deposit. They are depending on FDs. And their share is 62% and with a ticket size of only 2 crores. And their CASA deposit contribution is 22%. IDFC Bank is following another model. They are depending on 82% on granular deposits and 18% on high value deposits. And sir, depending on bulk deposit is a risky proposition. And what is your thinking in this regard? When do you think the company will be more able to depend on granular deposits in the coming years? Answer, the bank has 429 branches and 412 ATMs as on 31st March 2020. Why the bank is not taking steps to increase its number of ATMs for the convenience of its customers? Would you please share with us your ATM expansion policy and target for the current year? How many branches, banking units the bank management wants to add during the remaining part of 2022? As far as I know, as of 30th June, you added 6 branches. And sir, you also mentioned about the MasterCard. You are coming out of that. But please share your thoughts in respect of its impact on our financials. Is there any impact on our financials? And it is noted that RBL, you also mentioned, the RBL started issuing credit cards on Visa payment network from 15th September 2021. What about existing debit credit cards issued on MasterCard platform? And sir, during the financial year 21, though number of frauds decreased to 352, last year it was 387, and amount involved increased more than 2 times at 86 crores. 85 crores from a figure of only 41 crores during financial year 20. For a new bank, this trend is really alarming. And what steps the bank has taken to stem the rot? What about software upgradation for early detection of frauds? And whether the bank has taken steps against its employees, officials for such mess? And last point, sir, I want to ask. Yes, sir. And sir, our subsidiary RBL FinServ Limited booked a PBT of 23 crores against a turnover of 383 crores during financial year 21. What is your expectation from the subsidiary during financial year 22? And lastly, one thing I want to know. I hope it's a good bank. I noted your passion in replying those points. I really enjoyed your passion as regards the bank is concerned. But your call centers are not following your way. I have a credit card. I actually surrendered it because they talked in such fashion. So when you are a passionate banker, I think they should be trained in such fashion in order to get more business. Nothing more to add. Thank you all for patient hearing.
So, sir, first I must say that we appreciate all your comments and observations. There were several of them. I think let me address some of them, and then I will perhaps ask my colleague Jaideep, who is the conscience keeper of the bank from a numbers point of view, to address as many as we can today with the kind of time constraints that we do have. I think on the larger picture, let me tell you that I mentioned in my commentary also that in the year FY21, our card business was profitable. The business that was more affected was the micro banking business among the various retail businesses and some of the unsecured personal loan business that we were doing, which we have since stopped. Since you are such a thorough tracker, of our bank's performance and financials, I may request you to refer back to our last quarterly commentary, where some very detailed, if I may say, detailed data and responses were provided to each of your questions as far as the numbers are concerned, where we gave by each business segment, we actually gave the NPA numbers, the provision numbers, the credit cost numbers, etc., etc. And we also gave indication that because of the build-up of stress on the book, how much time more will it take to absorb most of that impact, which is largely in the second quarter of this year in terms of slippages, and a smaller proportion in the third quarter. And we had suggested that from the fourth quarter of this year, we should start getting back to normal business and profit momentum of the bank. Just referring back to the commentary already made, because I cannot say new stuff right now, this is a public forum, but just to repeat what we had said very recently, that we do expect to be profitable, return to profitability this very quarter, and then keep improving from there. And in the fourth quarter of this year, we expect to reach our normal trajectory of performance and profitability, where we expect all our businesses to be profitable. Even as we stand today, the credit card business is not only profitable, it has bounced back very nicely and in fact doing better than pre-COVID levels. The impact of the MasterCard ban was there for 2 months. As it is, when the second wave was on in the first quarter of this year, hardly any card sourcing was happening because of the lockdown and restrictions. So anyway, that activity has remained, constrained, restricted, or stopped for a long period of time. We started reviving that sometime in July, but then this MasterCard situation happened. Our existing customers, debit card, credit card on MasterCard or Visa platform were unaffected, to answer that part of your question. It was only, the ban was only for new originations, new customer additions. So that was there for a couple of months. We were the earliest, fastest bank to be able to sign up with another partner, i.e. Visa. And as you yourself noted, on September 16th, we started issuing new cards on the new credit cards on the Visa platform. Our expectation is that we should be able to do at least at a run rate of 100,000 cards per month. All things going well, that is the expectation, that we should be able to do 100,000 cards per month. Certainly starting October, but we will do almost that number in September also. So actually, if you see fiscal year 21-22, from a card point of view, it will be a growth year. Because last year, because of the overall pandemic being there for most of the year, there were hardly any accretion to our card base in 2021. But in 21-22, we expect between 700 to 800,000 net card additions in fiscal year FY 21-22. So this business will not only grow, it will be profitable, and it is our most profitable business. So this is something I want you to understand. On the micro banking side, across the industry, while there has been improvement, because rural India was very badly impacted and several states were impacted even more, the bounce back and collection efficiencies in the micro banking business, have been relatively slower in terms of pickup. So while they may have dipped to a low of mid-70s in the worst part of the second wave, they have improved since every month and are probably hovering around the 90% mark right now. If they improve by another 2-3 percentage points, then that business also becomes profitable once again. Our other businesses are doing well. Our corporate business, our wholesale business is doing well. As I mentioned in my speech and in my last quarter commentary, we have significantly tightened the filters in those businesses, and we have reduced concentrations, bulkiness, etc. And we have started growing again in that business with a much cleaner and much higher quality rating profile of the balance sheet there. So the quality of business, quality of customers, and the level of risk in that business model is much better than before, and we are doing incremental business maintaining the new risk paradigm. So overall, it's actually an encouraging picture. As far as this year is concerned, second half of the year, and going forward in the future, you will see the growth momentum and the profit momentum coming back to normal levels, and with our increased digital footprint, cross-sell of products and services, I think in terms of return also, both in terms of return on equity, return on assets, you will see very steady and progressive movement happening as far as RBL Bank is concerned. You mentioned about NIMs. NIMs, obviously, when there was a period of forbearance, moratorium, and also a significant part of the portfolio across banks which became non-performing, obviously that part of the portfolio will not accrue interest. So therefore, there had to be some reversal of interest in some part of the portfolio which got impacted because of COVID. And till new business happens, the growth of improvement out there will be constrained. In other words, as we have to grow our asset book to increase our interest income beyond the levels that prevail right now. So, but we will not, our NIMs have been in the between 4.1 and 4.3 range, okay? And I'm confident that we will maintain it there. NIMs are not, they may remain somewhat, if I may say, modest in the second quarter of this year, which is the prevailing quarter, but we'll start seeing improvement again from the third quarter. And for the year as a whole, it will come out to be in similar territory as compared to last year, give or take 5-10 basis points. So there again, the picture is quite reasonable and satisfactory. So we need not worry about NIM compression from the current levels. I think I've tried to answer as many questions I could remember.
Top 20.
Yeah, I mean, retail deposits, CASA and all that. I think that is a question that has to be viewed in the context of, the kind of bank we took over 10 years ago. And at that time, there was no retail bank, zero, So we really, and we had, hardly any branch footprint. We had, physical presence only in, 2 states of the country. And we had no brand. We had a very difficult situation that we were trying to recover from. So I think it's a journey. And if you track our journey year on year, and in the last 10, 15, 20 quarters, even quarter by quarter, in all these aspects that you are mentioning, we have shown improvement. Our CASA has grown from 2011 to today every year. Our retail deposits for the last several quarters have been growing every quarter. So, and for every 100 rupees of new deposit that is coming into the bank, more than 80% is retail now. So that is indeed the focus and strategy of the bank. And the good thing is that as a bank, now we have achieved a certain size and scale. You mentioned 429 branches and, as many ATMs. the fact of the matter is, every bank which needs to have a pan-India presence, a minimum threshold of size, scale and footprint, a national brand image, you need all these things and, many more things, of course, very strong service architecture, technology, etc. Now, all these things take time to build. And having crossed 400 odd branches, we all believe that we need another 200-300 branches at least, and a much wider digital footprint to be able to be truly competitive with some of our bigger, more established players in the industry. So there is still a journey ahead of us. You asked how many branches. I think we will add 75 to 80 branches this fiscal year. We may add a similar number or a little higher next year. But the target is to get to a threshold which we believe is the critical mass required for a relevant national banking institution of around 700 plus branches. So there is a little journey ahead. That will help us both in terms of granularity of deposits, more retail, and also further improve our cost of funds to make us even more competitive. So that is indeed what we are doing, investing, and that is indeed our clearly articulated strategy. And it is entirely to your point. So it is not different from what your expectation might be in this respect. So directionally, all these parameters are improving. Directionally, you can see information. Directionally, this is improving. And I think the pace of improvement is also very satisfactory according to me and compares well with other industry benchmarks. So, Jaideep,
yeah, I think
more or less answered, right? Yeah. So I think because of paucity of time, I've done my best to answer as many of your questions as possible. We are always available, to interact with you offline and address any other concerns that you may have. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Abhishek Shah. Mr. Abhishek?
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my question is, that we have multiple businesses from corporate to SME, loan against property, we have credit cards, we have microfinance, but it's very difficult to understand from the annual report that, what is the profitability for each of those, right? So while you give a overall sense of the NIMs, but it's very difficult to understand. For example, credit cards, you say it's profitable, but it's very difficult to compare. I think earlier we were showing credit cards separately, but it's very difficult to know that, okay, how much did we lose on microfinance, since you're saying the last year was bad from a microfinance perspective. So it's very difficult to ascertain that. So that was one. So if you can share those details, and even going forward, maybe in the quarterly and annual report as well. The second thing is, if I, like credit cards is one of our strong areas where, we have achieved a leadership. And as you mentioned in one of the earlier questions, that very few banks have been able to do that. So I think that's quite commendable. But the fact remains that credit cards is only, say, 15-16% of the book. And some of the other things are dragging the overall performance down. So while credit cards may be comparable to the peers, but some of the other divisions have not been as profitable, or maybe because of COVID, there have been losses, loan losses on some of those. So my question really is on the focus, like going forward also. I think in the last, I read somewhere that, we are entering into vehicle finance, affordable housing. So my question really is that what is the focus area going forward? If I were to look, say, next 2, 3, 5 years, what does RBL look like? Because, I think, so that's really my question, because, when I look at the annual report, when I look at all your communication, it seems that, there's no clear-cut strategy. We are little all over the place, and now we're adding 2 more segments. So that was the second question. And the third was really on fintech, where of course there are a lot of players, and as a consumer we see that, right, where some of these players are offering loans, etc., in a very different manner, very different customer service. And you mentioned Project Abacus in the last quarterly presentation, but again, I was not able to figure out that what really does that mean. And I'm sure, as you know, you may sort of give more details as we go forward. But just those three broad questions. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek. I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible because much of that information we have put out already. If you go back to our last quarterly commentary, segment-wise information was provided, both in terms of portfolio quality, provisioning, and other aspects. So those financial details were provided. Yeah, I don't know in what detail they are there in there, but the segment data is there even in the annual report. But more importantly, I mean, in the analyst commentaries, we do provide a lot of this information in absolute great detail and transparency. Just to tell you, in terms of we don't have, in fact, one of the limitations of our bank is a relatively narrow product suite. In fact, if you compare with any of the well-established, banks, there are many more product segments, many more. We actually need to diversify and have more. And in the past, limitations of size, scale, branding, ability to invest, grow, and lack of competitiveness did not allow us to play in certain segments which were already, already participated by several players and strongly competed, very competitive. So intensely competitive space. So the whole idea was to build that capacity, capability, competitiveness in the institution, and that requires us to build both physical scale and build our technology capabilities and build our talent base, etc., etc. So it's an evolution. But if anything, I think we need to add more products. Historically and up until now, our main business segments have been wholesale banking, which is corporate lending, either to large corporates or mid corporates. To the large, we call it corporate banking. To the small, medium enterprises, we call it commercial banking. So that's on the wholesale side. Simple, very clear. On the retail side, the main businesses have been micro banking, cards. We started with micro banking very early, about 9-10 years ago, and cards came few years later. And micro banking, so these have been our two main planks on the retail side. And we have been doing, what is called some business lending against what is called loan against property. This is very standard across banks. Every bank will have, portfolios. Some will have more of something, some will have less of something. But we didn't have, home loans. We didn't have vehicle finance. We didn't have tractor finance. We didn't have gold loans. So we were actually lacking some of the much needed secured loan products, which, a more complete bank and a more established bank should have. But to do those businesses, you have to have the right apparatus, wherewithal, competitiveness, scale, technology, etc. So now we think we are at a point where those investments can be profitably made. So that's the first part of the answer. Micro banking, as I have said repeatedly, was the most impacted by the COVID across the industry. And I have made that very clear. Our performance benchmarks there are no worse than anybody else, in fact, better than most. Having said that, micro banking has been a highly profitable business for the bank up until FY20, up until 15-18 months ago. It was one of our most profitable businesses and has been for the previous 5-6 years. So the impact was entirely, according to me, based on COVID situation, and because of the impact that COVID had, on those pockets of the country, and partly because of the event risks, which I've also highlighted earlier, in terms of calamities, some political issues, etc. We are expecting this business to bounce back or start recovering from a profitability perspective from the second half of this year. It will not happen in the first half of the year. As I mentioned, collection efficiencies are yet not reached that level. But in the medium to long term, this is one of our key businesses which will give us, good returns over time. And that is why, in my speech, when I said that there are few businesses where we think, we will focus on with a very clear strategy, is micro banking, which I said, moving to Bharat banking was second in my list after cards. So clearly, I think that is purely circumstantial, the impact on that business in the last 12-15 months. The card economics that are all there in our quarterly deck, and in the commentary that follows. We talk about our gross returns, we talk about our credit costs there, we talk about different buckets of delinquencies, all that detail is there. And obviously it's not in front of me right now, but all that detail has been shared with everybody. So, and if you want that again, I'll request my colleague to give it to you offline, after this session is over. So, thank you for your comments, and I hope, I've been able to satisfy you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Bhimrao Magdum. Mr. Bhimrao.
Hello, sir. Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Chandra sir, Ahuja sir, Raina sir, Mankar ma'am, Agarwal ma'am, also all of us secretarial team. मेरे 2-3 सवाल है, आपने हमें बोलने की अपॉर्चुनिटी दी, इसलिए आपका तहे दिल से बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर। और 1.5 साल से कोरोना का कहर चल रहा है, फिर भी बैंक ने इस वक्त अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस दिया। कोरोना के चलते लोन रिकवरी में प्रॉब्लम हुई है, इसकी वजह से जून क्वार्टर में बैंक ने लॉस बुक किया है। लेकिन मुझे आशा है कि बैंक रिकवरी के लिए बहुत एफर्ट लेगा और शेयर होल्डर को बेनिफिट देगा। और दूसरा सवाल मेरा ये है कि आपकी टोटल ब्रांचेस कितने हैं और इस साल ब्रांच कितना एक्सपेंशन करने का नया प्लानिंग है। और अनदर वन, इट इज वन HDFC ICICI बैंक जैसी डिपॉजिटरी सर्विस हमें दे रही है, और हमारी बैंक के भी कुछ ऐसा प्लान है क्या डिपॉजिटरी सर्विस देने का? क्योंकि आज हम टीवी पे देखते हैं डिजिटल बैंकिंग मतलब whenever you see an TV, gadget, mobile, that time when you see advertise much more any kind of faculty, HDFC कोटक या ICICI बैंक के हमें एडवर्टाइज हमें मिलते हैं। हमारे भी कुछ एडवर्टाइज ऐसे आने चाहिए, कस्टमर बढ़ सकते हैं, शेयर होल्डर को मुनाफा हो सकता है और हमें कस्टमर बिजनेस भी बढ़ सकता है। और पिछले 2-3 साल से मतलब मतलब हम कॉन्फ्रेंस पे ही बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन शेयर होल्डर्स के लिए थोड़ा सा कुछ मीट का कोई तो प्रोग्राम बनाइए, हम सब मिल बात के कुछ बोल सकते हैं, कुछ डेवलपमेंट कर सकते हैं। बस इतना ही मेरा बोलना है सर।
ब्रांच एक्सपेंशन का सर एक
गौतम जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपके क्वेश्चंस के लिए। पहली बात तो आपने ब्रांच एक्सपेंशन की बात करी, मैंने अपनी स्पीच में बताया कि हम ब्रांच एक्सपेंशन करते रहे हैं। थोड़ा पिछले 2 साल में स्लो रहा है, वो तो मतलब सबको समझ आना चाहिए क्यों स्लो रहा है। इस साल हम जैसे जैसे खुलता जा रहा है सिचुएशन देश में और ये कोविड का इम्पैक्ट जहां जहां कम हो रहा है, हम ब्रांचेस लगाते जा रहे हैं। इस साल 70 से 80 ब्रांचेस लगेंगी फर्स्ट क्वार्टर में। बिकॉज ऑफ दैट सेकेंड वेव जो आई थी उसकी वजह से रिस्ट्रिक्शंस थी, इसलिए फर्स्ट क्वार्टर में एक और शेयर होल्डर ने बोला सिर्फ 6 ब्रांचेस लगी, वो तो लग ही नहीं सकती थी। मतलब हम सब सेकेंड वेव काफी सीवियर थी, हम सबको पता है। तो अब वो पेस बढ़ जाएगी और बाकी ये 9 महीने में मेरे हिसाब से 65, 60, 70 ब्रांचेस और लगनी चाहिए। तो उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम मुझे नहीं दिख रही है। तो वो हमारी एक्सपेंशन है। मैंने बोला अगले साल भी हम 80 से 100 ब्रांचेस लगाएंगे और हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव है कि 3 साल में इसको 700 के आसपास लाने का हमारा लक्ष्य है। तो ये तो आपका क्वेश्चन था ब्रांचेस के ऊपर।
डिपॉजिटरी सर्विसेज, सो वी ऑफर डीमैट।
हाँ, तो डीमैट सर्विसेज हमने ऑफर करना शुरू कर दिया है, कुछ टाइम से हम कर रहे हैं। ये बात आपकी सही है कि उसमें अभी कस्टमर बेस हमारा कम है। जब कस्टमर बेस काफी बढ़ जाएगा तो इसके बारे में लोगों की जानकारी भी बढ़ जाएगी, तो उसमें हम और फोकस लाएंगे। आपका कमेंट सुन लिया है। डीमैट सर्विसेज, डिपॉजिट सर्विसेज है हमारे पास, बट इसको थोड़ा और पॉपुलर करने की जरूरत है, तो उस पर हम और फोकस करेंगे। और बाकी आपने वो शेयर होल्डर इंटरैक्शन की बात करी, वो जरूर करेंगे। एक्चुअली हम सबको कोल्हापुर भी आने का बहुत अच्छा लगता है वहां आके, तो ये कोविड की वजह से नहीं हो पाया है, पर जैसे ही ये पहला मौका मिलेगा हम उधर पहुंचेंगे और आप सबसे मिल के बात करेंगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, shareholders, for your queries. I hope management has been able to answer most of them. As per the applicable provisions of the Companies Act, the bank had made arrangements for remote electronic voting, which was open from Friday, September 17th, 10 a.m. to Monday, September 20th, till 5 p.m. If you have done the remote e-voting, you need not vote again. However, the bank is also providing e-voting facility at the AGM for those members who have not exercised their right to vote through remote e-voting. Please also note that the board has appointed Mr. Alvin D'Souza, practicing company secretary, as a scrutinizer to scrutinize the voting and remote e-voting process in a fair and transparent manner. The voting will be scrutinized by Mr. D'Souza, and the result of remote e-voting and voting at the AGM will be consolidated, and the final results on all the resolutions as set out in the notice of the AGM shall be declared within 2 working days from the conclusion of this AGM. In case you have not cast your vote by remote e-voting and wish to cast your vote now, you can do so during the AGM. The instructions for remote e-voting during the AGM is same as the instructions mentioned in the remote e-voting in the notice of the AGM. The e-voting on all the 15 resolutions as set out in the notice of the AGM will be kept open from 15 minutes from the conclusion of this AGM today. The proceedings of the AGM and e-voting results shall be intimated to the stock exchanges along with the scrutinizer's report, and simultaneously shall also be published on the website of the bank and on the website of CDSL. All the compliances with respect to the AGM shall be adhered to by the bank. With this, I give my sincere thanks to all of you for your attendance at the AGM today. Thank you very much.